Charlotte Richards and the goddess of all creation?
I just talked about this in a small meet and greet, actually, and to me, after coming off of Battlestar Galactica years before, where I played multiple characters, and I've since done it in Van Helsing, where I played Dracula, and then we did a backstory where I played the woman that became Dracula, and then the interim period, and then Dracula, and then her becoming not Dracula again. So I seem to get hired for these roles, but I was actually very nervous about playing Charlotte, because when I was originally cast, I was just cast for the season for Mom. I was only hired for one season. And within doing a couple of episodes, they said, oh, we're going to bring you back next year, but I didn't know how it was going to, I just assumed I was going to be playing Mom again. But in one way, the characters to me were very, Mom was obviously celestial and, you know, disdain for humans, but also very childlike in some ways, but also was starting to learn to enjoy parts of humanity, and she was just fun and a little manipulative, so she was a lot of fun to play. And with Charlotte, she is a sharp, you know, intelligent attorney, flirted on the lines of probably not above the board all the time, not the best mother. This is all a part of her redemption and how she had to become a better person to where she ultimately ended up. So it was easier for me kind of, once she knew that all of this was real and her nightmares and everything like that. But in the very beginning, I was very concerned about playing this character, that it would come off too much like Mom. But, so my goal was to make her very human and just the sharp professional that she was, and lose the mischievousness. But because Mom also dressed in Charlotte's clothes and things like that, it's like they looked so similar. I wanted to have my hair straighter to begin with. So a few subtle things, but I was very nervous about it. And then I guess I keyed in more to the fact of, here is this woman that is trying to pretend that she is her normal, very strong self, but struggling with these nightmares and struggling with this vulnerability that is new to her. She's not a character that normally allows any vulnerability into her life. And that's what I tried to go on. So, and then that built throughout the season as she discovers more and more and starts to unravel a little bit more and more as well. So hopefully it came across.
Yes, thank you very much.
Hi, my name is Michelle from Arizona. My question to you is, with the very short time that you had with the show, what was your favorite parts of playing the goddess, and what was your favorite part of playing Charlotte?
I think with the goddess, it was the sense of fun, the sense of mischievousness, but also mixed with, you know, I know she was not to be liked to begin with, right? She was coming in and wanted to break up Chloe and Lucifer and all these things, so she wasn't necessarily a character that the audience was supposed to like. But I liked the fact that she was, at the end of the day, a mother who loved her children, and we did find out later on about the miscommunications between Lucifer and, you know, the family issues that we all deal with, right? We all have stuff in our own families, and this was just a family that had things on a higher level, but the miscommunications but the love, I wanted to bring across the love that she had for her children, and she just maybe went about it in the wrong ways, but her children did love her as well, even if Lucifer fought it. Again, because of some of the miscommunications and things, and some of the things that she was doing, he did ultimately want her love, right? So to me, it was finding that balance of playing them as a family with their foibles and their love and their problems. But she was just a lot of fun to play as well. and the grandness of her was a lot of fun to play. With Charlotte, it was, for me, her redemption and her coming to terms with who she was and how she needs to be a better person, and the mistakes she made and owning up to those mistakes. Sometimes took her a little while, didn't want to admit them to herself, but ultimately coming, and you know, I think her death was, to me it was tragic because I think she was getting there on her own, and she would have gotten to that place on her own. I don't know if that answers your question.
Hi, my name is Phyllis. I'm from New York. First of all, I love the mom character. I thought she was hysterical. So you kind of answered my question before, but a lot of these television shows cater to men. They have all these hot women on the show. So you can see this isn't a serious question. So how is it for you working with all these hot men on the show?
A treat. No, you know, the main thing is, yes, aesthetically, they may be very nice to look at. But more importantly, especially working with somebody long-term, day in, day out for, 22 episodes or 24 episodes, whatever we did, those 2 seasons that I did, crazy hours, starting at 4 o'clock in the morning, and is their dedication to work, their professionalism, and their sense of humor, and their kindness. And that's what all of the men and women on the show had. It was really one of those very lucky experiences. I had that on Battlestar Galactica as well. Had it a few other times throughout my career, and then I've had the opposite experience. I worked with, I won't name names, but I worked with an actor that, you could have been describing him by saying, very good-looking actor, very well-known, and works a lot, and he was a complete and he just is there's no part of him that I find attractive at all, aesthetically or not. So the fact that these guys are nice to look at, but more importantly are just brilliant actors and human beings, that's the key.
Hi, I'm Alex from Brooklyn. You have been in a lot of roles where your character's theme is becoming more human. So, Mother of All Creation, Capra 6, and my personal favorite, Edie.
Edie?
From Mass Effect.
Yes.
I wanted to ask if you had any thoughts on that last one, if Edie survived, how she and Joker might have worked out.
If Edie survived of what?
Mass Effect.
I missed the last part of it.
Mass Effect.
Yeah, I know Mass Effect, but what's the question about Edie?
Oh, if she survived the game.
I've never played the game, so I don't actually know what happens in it. I know she got into a robot body in the 3rd game.
Yeah, she was with one of the other characters.
Joker?
Yeah, Joker.
I love the play between Joker and Edie. Mass Effect is one of those where I really should try and figure out how to play. I've never played a video game in my life. I played Frogger when I was in high school. Junior high on our first ever computer, in the late 80s. And I don't think even on that I made it past the second. I think I got killed on the roadway all the time. I think I made it past the lily pond, that. And, my brain just doesn't work that way. I'm terrible with technology. If my remote control doesn't work, I throw it against the wall. Figure it out. So with Mass Effect, Effect, that was particularly hard for me to kind of understand what was going on because they never gave us anything in advance. Unlike the other video games I've done where they basically give you your script in advance with StarCraft, all 3 StarCraft games I did, with Command & Conquer, with Spider-Man, with Mortal Kombat, with Halo, whatever, all the other games I've done, I've gotten something in advance so I can kind of make sense of it. With Mass Effect, I had nothing, so I walked into this photo booth the sound booth by myself, and there was a computer screen with 1 line on it. And that's the line I was supposed to read, with no context. And the first time I ever read it, they were recording. So, and you couldn't flip ahead while they were, so I really don't know what was going on in the game. And then so the voice director would then just say, okay, say a little bit more like this or a little bit more like this. And sometimes they would, like Seth Green had already recorded the Joker lines, they would lead me in with his lines. So some of the back and forth between Joker and Edie, I could get and I could understand the joke. But in terms of the world, I don't know. So I wish I could answer your question more, but I actually really don't even know what happened. I just know we went into re-reports and stuff that there was like an alternate ending or something.
Yeah. Well, for not being good with technology, you played 2 amazing games.
Thank you. Thank you. That was my most difficult game to actually voice, though, because I didn't know what was going on.
And you were also great as Veronica there.
Oh, thank you.
Hi, my name is Lillian. I'm from Northwestern Pennsylvania, and I have 2 questions for you. I would like to know if you think that God and Goddess are continuing to have children in your new universe. And if you think that Lucifer is able to use the flaming sword to come visit you guys, and if he is.
I think God and Goddess are I think they're having fun without popping them out. They did that experiment. I think they're in their retirement years, and maybe they're making some other stuff. And Lucifer, yeah, I think they could figure out a way to have him come visit. Yes. I mean, I would like that, so that's what I'm going to go with.
All right, perfect. I think that's definitely the best, not having 4 children after the first time.
Yeah, well, they were fighting a lot in this last one, so I think they're like, we're done. We're just gonna enjoy.
Hi, my name is Haley. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm very nervous, so I apologize. But I was wondering if Lucifer has succeeded in throwing the goddess into heaven and locking the gates, what do you think would happen?
Oh. If Lucifer threw the goddess into heaven and locked the gates, well, she had been up there. So it'd be like coming home to some extent. I think she learned a lot on her time on Earth. And she would be with a lot of her children again, which would make her happy. But she is in her own universe now, with her husband. And what are they called? Centaurs? There were centaurs there. I think she surrounded herself with animals and vodka and brie cheese. I would like to think that they could bounce back and forth and around, and she could go for holidays and visit her kids. That's what I would like.
I love that. Thank you.
Hi, my name is Jackie from Virginia right now. So I was very happy to see that you're coming on the show, saw you on, of course, Battlestar Galactica, Chuck, everything for that effect. But I was just wondering, for the Goddess and Charlotte, do you feel or wish that either of those characters could have interacted with any other castmates more than you got to? And I'm going to include like Tom Welling and anyone else that you might not have had a lot of chance to interact with. Is there anyone that you think that those characters should have gotten more screen time with, or you would have liked to have gotten more screen time with?
I think Charlotte would have just eaten Kane up. But, you know, there was one episode where Ella and Charlotte were, I think Charlotte was trying to figure out how to be a better person, so this is before she really kind of got it, so she was like, oh, what can I do to kind of put a Band-Aid on my badness and figure out how to be good. And so she was following Ella around, and she did learn something, if I'm remembering correctly. She did learn something from Ella. And she stood up for Ella in a later episode as well. Amy is just such a fun human being. Everybody on the show was. I wouldn't have minded another episode or two with a little bit more to do with her. I remember, if you've heard this before from me, I apologize, but I remember, because I hadn't had much to do with Ella, Amy, and I remember she's an Energizer bunny in person. Like, she literally is the Energizer bunny that never stops. And I remember going to Tom, and leading up to that episode where I had a lot to do with her, and I went, how do you deal with it? Because I'm like an introvert, and I need to go home at the end of the day and just like not hear anything, and you know, and sets are so big and crazy and loud and whatever. He's like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to handle her constant. And he just looked at me, he's like, you're going to love working with her. I mean, I've worked with her in group scenes, and I adored her. But he goes, you're going to love working with her because she's so good, and she's so prepared, and she's just there to play in a good way, you know, within the scenes. You're going to love it. And he was absolutely right. So, and I think we did some fun stuff, and I remember this one scene peeking out of the elevator, because I'm in stilettos and she's in sneakers, and she comes up to about here on me. And, you know, the scene she's trying to hug me, and I'm just like, ugh. Although I think I don't know if that was Charlotte or if that was Mom, I can't remember, but it would have been fun to work with her a little bit more too, because she's such a pro. And you know, I worked with most of the same people all the time, but then there was the courtroom scene, I had a few private scenes with Lauren, kind of out in the hallway, that was nice to have. It's nice when you can, you know, make sure you get through the rest of the cast, and so it would have been fun to work with her more too. But yeah, just off the top of my head, Amy.
Thank you. I'm Brianna from Minnesota, and I just want to say Charlotte was one of my favorite characters, and one of my favorite things about her is her wardrobe. I'm trying to relate a little Charlotte vibes today.
You are.
And so what I wanted to ask you is, what was one of your favorite outfits from the show?
Oh gosh, she had so many nice outfits. I really wanted to just take her closet at the end, but I couldn't, because I would aspire to dress like Charlotte, but I don't. I'm in jeans, and I've got sneakers on. Granted, I just had knee surgery, so I can't wear heels, but yeah, some of her shoes and clothes I would have loved to have. There was one, I can't remember them, but there was one where she had like a wide leg trousers, and I don't know, I think it was in Charlotte's office. It might have been when she was having the coffee and talking about the assistant and smacking him on the butt. I don't remember. I think I would have taken probably 90% of her wardrobe if I could have.
Thank you.
Hi Tricia, how are you? My name is David, I'm from the area here in New Jersey. My question to you is, knowing that everyone in this room probably was rolling their eyes out when Benedale took Charlotte up to heaven, separating yourself from the person who actually played the part, and watching it yourself as a viewer, are you able to do that, and what, if you were, what is your reaction?
I thought it was beautifully done. There were so many tears leading up to that. because there was so much that went into, because of the wings and the, you know, the location, they had to find the right location, and the director that we had, Claudia Yarmy, for that episode is a very emotional director. Some directors are more technical, some are more, you know, she's a very emotional director. So when we did the cast read-through, she started crying in it, and then we had a meeting set up with the visual effects, the hair and makeup, the costumes, Dee Dee and myself, about how he's going to pick me up, how my hair has to be, what clothes I have to have on so they don't get in the way of the wings for the visual effects that they're going to draw. She's crying in that meeting. Wow. And we're like, Claudia, you have to hold on to it, because like, we haven't even shot yet. And then we go to shoot, and it was also very funny because Dee Dee couldn't pick me up. Because they wanted me like cradled in his lap, and then him to go basically straight from sitting on his butt on the ground to pick me up, and he's a big dude. But I'm 5'11", you know, so I weigh a bit. Sorry?
Yes, queen.
And you know, so I'm not as light as people think I am, and he couldn't lift me up. So they had to figure out to put him on an apple box, like he's on a bench or something, so that he could actually get some leverage to pick me up. But anyway, then we go to shoot the scene, and we shoot all the lead up of you know, that we're talking on the bench, everything, having this heart-to-heart. And then I go to get the squib on, because we're now going to do the scene where I catch the, you know, the glint of the gun, and I stand up and I continue with the rest of the night, and fog rolls in, and completely the entire vista of the city's gone.
Oh no.
And so we didn't actually shoot the remainder of the scene, the heart of the scene, until about 3 weeks later.
Oh.
With a skeleton crew, because they were still shooting the main part of the show, so we had most of the crew we didn't even know, because they brought in people just to do this splinter unit, they call. And so at this point, we're all like, Dee Dee and I were worried about even getting there because we were so prepared to do it that day. And then this is weeks later, and with crew that we don't know, and but it ended up working out. And you know, as an actor, it's hard to separate, because when I see the scene, I remember leading up to it, and I remember, you know, I had the song that we knew was going to play. I had one ear pod in, or ear, whatever, and Dee Dee had the other one, and I had it on my phone playing the song, and Claudia would come up and she'd take it from us, and then she'd go, action. And we did the scene, and but I still got teary-eyed when I watched it. Yeah, it was one of those that I think it just it came off well, and the reaction from the audience and from you guys and from what we would see on, you know, at conventions or hear from you, it made it all worth it.
Well, thank you very much. One person in this room that will ever forget. That's it.
Hi, my name is Chris, and I'm from Maine, and I'm wondering, what would Mother's Day look like for you with the angels?
What would Mother's Day what?
Have been like with you with the angels?
Well, I was in hell for so long that I think if I had been prior to that or after that, I think Mom would have wanted to be spoiled. She just strikes me that way. No, I'm not a mother myself, so I've never had a Mother's Day. I think she just would have wanted all her, you know, I think what I would imagine most mothers want is to just spend the day with their children. But I think maybe she would have made them put a cabaret on for her while feeding her grapes and Prosecco.
Thank you.
Hi, Tricia. I'm Nitya, and I'm from Boston. I love your voice. I can watch episodes just to hear you speaking. You have a wonderful voice.
Thank you.
So my question for you is more on the technical side. Like, as an actor, how do you prepare to treat the same actor in a different way? Like in one episode, you treat Tom as son with all the loving gestures, and at the piano, and the next on the same piano, you kiss him. How do you do that?
Well, that was Mom, and then the second was Charlotte. And I think Charlotte at that scene was really in, she was having her nightmares, she was very on edge, and I think she was trying to, because I think she had asked him, were we friends, or, are we friends? So I think she was, in her mind, most male friends of hers were more than, they were friends. And so I think she was thinking that if she could, maybe it would spur some memory or something, so she was quite aggressive with him. It is funny because when I was first shooting Mom, I had worked with one of the camera operators on a Hallmark movie, a Christmas movie, with an actor, Mark Lucas, and it was just, and Hallmark movies are not, they're very tame, but there was one, the one kissing scene in it, and it's the way I put my hand behind his neck to have the little light kiss. When the first time I was playing Mom with Tom, I didn't like that one. I liked being able to Menadil, taking him to Uriel's grave, because Dee Dee was just so strong in those episodes. I loved the episode of when I have to go down to hell to try and get Lucifer out, and Uriel is down there, and then I kind of get caught in the Uriel thing. That was extremely hard to film. I loved how it came out, and and DB holding the guards back and the songs playing, and then Tom comes back. I mean, I was crying when I was watching it, but shooting that stuff down in hell was so hard, and I felt like such a fraud as an actor because it's so technical because of the way it's edited. You're not just shooting one scene through, and the dagger that was appearing and non-appearing, and that he was stabbing Uriel with, or whatever it was. It was so cut, and so the props guy and the stunt guy would be right off camera, and they'd be like, okay, pause, so you're in this emotional scene, and then, okay, pause, bring in the dagger. You say one or two lines, okay, pause, take out the dagger. Okay, pause, bring in the dagger. Okay, start over, do it again. It's just constantly about the dagger and not about the connection between these characters. And the only part of that scene that I even liked was Tom pulling me into the elevator and me screaming, because then I felt like I could actually bring up some emotion. But the rest was just so technical that I felt like it was the worst acting I've ever done. And I talked to one of the writers that's a big friend of mine now, Chris Rafferty, I'm working on something else with, I can't say. And he was like, yeah, that wasn't your best episode, but it edited together, or your best scene, but it edited together fine. I was like, oh. But it was technically it was very hard, and also the space, let me say space vagina. On Santa Monica Beach, that was not closed off, so people are looking at us, and Tom and I are like doing these things, and like, and people are looking at us like, and we're crying, and then we're like trying to dive through this thing. And, of course, they don't know what's going on. There's just like a green stick being held up, and people are looking at us funny, and that was another one that's just so technical that it's really hard to get to the emotion of it. So those two were my least favorite.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Tricia